Echoes of Africa, Episode 7, Congo Basin, Forest Kingdoms, and Sacred Power. In the heart of Africa, beneath a canopy so vast it swallows the sky, lies a realm ancient, sacred, and alive, a world where rivers whisper names of forgotten kings, and every tree breathes memory. This is the Congo Basin, Africa's lush soul, and the keeper of stories far older than empires. Before the first Europeans set foot on this soil, before borders and barbed wire, there were kingdoms, Hera kingdoms, that drew their power not from conquest alone, but from harmony, from spirits, and from the silent wisdom of the forest. If you believe that history isn't just written in books, but in drums, in carvings, in echoes, then this story is for you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us until the end. Because today, we walk with spirits, we kneel before kings, and we listen to the forest speak. The Congo Basin, 500 million acres of emerald spanning 6 nations, pulsing with the life of over 10 plant species, and more than 400 different mammals. It's the second largest tropical rainforest on Earth. But here, it is more than an ecosystem. It is a sanctuary, a spirit world. For thousands of years, the Mbuti, the Mbanga, and the Twazam of the oldest human cultures on Earth have called this place home. They don't just live in the forest, they live with it. To them, the trees are not obstacles, but guardians. The animals are not prey, but kin. Every sound, every bird cry, every rustle is a verse in a sacred language. They do not build kingdoms with stone. Their temples are groves, their wisdom flows with the river, and they carry a memory of the land that no map can contain. But deeper inland, something shifted. As rivers converged and trade routes grew, new centers of power emerged, kingdoms that would change the course of history. In the late 1300s, between the Congo and Kongo rivers, a new force rose, the Kingdom of Kongo. At its height, it stretched across parts of modern-day Angola, Gabon, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. But this wasn't just a territorial empire. It was a spiritual machine. The Manikongo, the king, was more than a sovereign. He was a priest, a prophet, a vessel. His body bore the nation's fate. His crown carried ancestral fire. At the center stood Mbanza Kongo, a hilltop capital laid out with precision. Here, courts held counsel not just in law, but in ritual. Citizens gathered in the NSACO public square to hear proclamations that mixed prophecy and governance. Trade flourished, ivory, raffia cloth, copper crosses. Congo emissaries traveled to the Americas and Europe. They forged diplomacy in native Kikongo and fluent Portuguese. When Portuguese missionaries arrived in the late 1400s, they were astonished not at what they brought, but at what already existed. In 1491, the Manikongo Nzinga Nkuwu converted to Christianity, becoming João I. But it was his son, Afonso I, who truly shaped history. Educated in Christian doctrine, he saw no conflict between African kingship and Christian faith. He built churches, wrote theological treatises, and condemned the slave trade in eloquent letters to Portugal. "We cannot properly rule our country," he wrote, "because of the depredations being committed by Portuguese traders." But the tide could not be turned. Greed crept in like smoke. Internal rivals battled for influence, fueled by foreign weapons. The once stable Congo fractured under the strain. By the 1600s, the Manikongo's voice no longer commanded rivers. Yet the spirit of the kingdom refused to die. Beyond the Congo heartlands, across the vast Kasai River, rose a civilization of vision and geometry, the Kuba Kingdom. Here, kings did not dominate through brute force. They ruled through balanced ritual, myth, and meticulous aesthetics. At its zenith in the 18th century, the Kuba realm was a federation of over 19 ethnic groups, each with its own chief, unified under a divine sovereign, the Nyim. The court of the Nyim was a theater of order. Robes shimmered with imported beads. Palaces were adorned with Kasai velvet, hand-woven in spirals of meaning. These weren't just decorations, they were cosmic blueprints. Kuba masks were not merely art, they were gateways. They could represent founders, ancestors, spirits of justice, or war. One might be danced only once a generation. Another might be too sacred to even gaze upon casually. Genealogies were kept by the Mung Itul professional historians who committed centuries of oral tradition to memory. They could recite entire royal lines, battles, laws, and rituals from memory, often while performing a rhythmic poetic chant. Women, too, wielded power. Royal queens and matriarchs advised the Niem, presided over fertility rituals, and in some eras, ruled in their own right. The Kuba balance of masculine and feminine divine power remains one of the most remarkable in African history. Travel north, where the Lualaba River bends, and we find the sacred realm of the Luba Empire, founded in the 16th century and rooted in a very different kind of power, the power of memory. The Luba king, known as the Molopwe, was chosen by lineage but ruled by consent. He was not a warlord, but a symbol of spiritual axis. His story traced back to Kalala Ilunga, the mythical founder who brought fire, order, and secret knowledge. But in Luba thought, no king rules alone. Power was incomplete without its female counterpart. The Mwadia royal woman, often a spirit medium or priestess, held sacred codes. She could interpret dreams, commune with ancestors, and correct the moral compass of the kingdom. Luba governance was embedded in the Lukasa wooden memory boards, beaded and carved with symbols. Only trained officials could read them, sliding fingers across beads as they spoke the past into the present. These boards held laws, migrations, rituals, and treaties. To remember was a sacred act. To forget was a sin. The Congo Basin is more than a stage for kingdoms. It is a living archive. Beneath the branches, beyond the myths, memory itself is housed not only in minds but in landscape. Sacred groves mark royal initiation grounds. Certain trees are never cut, believed to house spirits of rulers long past. Rivers are sung into being each season with the same melody passed down for centuries. Even today, rituals persist in secret corner secos of kingdoms that refuse to be erased. In music, in sculpture, in the way a story is told around a fire, something survives. Ancestral knowledge isn't gone. It waits, like coals beneath ash, ready to burn bright again. Colonial powers came with iron and ink, dividing, renaming, exploiting. But the forest had its own defenses. Rebels rose not from barracks but from shrines. The Boma resistance, the Kimbanguist movement, the hidden warriors of the jungle, they drew strength from ancestral spirits, wrapped their truths in chants and parables. The forest became a sanctuary for fugitives, prophets, healers. Spirit mediums declared visions of liberation. Drums encoded resistance. Art became camouflage. Magic became message. Despite whips and bullets, the forest remained undefeated. Its people bent but did not break. Today, the Congo Basin is under siege from deforestation, from conflict, from silence. But its echoes live on. In the masks that dance at weddings, in the names whispered at birth, in the way elders begin a story with, long ago, before the forest forgot. The kingdoms may have fallen, the capitals may lie in ruin, but the forest remembers. So, if you've listened this far, you've walked through time. You've felt the pulse of kings, queens, priests, rebels, and rivers. Like this video, subscribe to Echoes of Africa. Share the stories that the world forgot, because as long as one person remembers, the forest still speaks.